Very good day everybody, and welcome to another video. This is your personal funky sim pilot. My name is Arkady Gidzenko, and I will be your captain for today's flight. And today's flight will take us from Poland to Sweden. We'll be flying from the city of Warsaw, the Chopin airport, to Stockholm, Arlanda. We're using the PMDG Boeing 737-600 with Scandinavian Airlines livery. Real world time and real world weather, GSX, and the Aerosoft Simple Traffic tool. Basically our around-the-mill setup, if you will. And we're parked here at the Warsaw Chopin Airport at gate number 52. The jetway has been connected and the ground power unit is installed as well. So I suggest we just start to get going. As I said, real world time, real world weather. So you can see we're again taking off here in during golden hour. Okay, so everything there is in place, so let's just start up the aircraft. I always like to do the cold and dark. So batteries come on. We align the IRS system. Turn on the external power. And a bunch of safety lights. And there we have it. Let's get our flight plan and then we'll start boarding as well. So request data from SimBrief. Check our departure weather, 140 at 5 knots, 21 degrees QNH 1010. The arrival weather, 0706 knots, 10 miles, broken clouds at 900, so looks like fog kind of thing, 6 degrees QNH 1015. So let's get the boarding process started here.
Boarding requested.
I always like to have a little bit of light when I'm working. Let's get our FMC all set. So pause it.
Do you want to board crew?
I do.
Pilot's boarding starting.
So the gate should be 52. Not sure if that will recognize as such. Nope, that is not in the database. There's no big surprise there.
Crew boarding starting.
So right here it's called 15L. So let's see if it accepts it. 15L. There we go. Very nice. Okay, so we can go set up our route now. So we just do flight plan request. This will be our flight plan. Set payload and fuel and select route. Set our squawk code as well. I will keep it on transponder for now.
Your crew has boarded. Passengers boarding starting.
Right, we load our flight plan. Get the OFP opened as well. We have cost index 23, cruising altitude 370, average wind 221,033. And then we got block fuel, 6.8, 6.9, and 2.8 or 2.9 on the final reserves. Are departing runway 11 with the OLILA 6 Alpha. Departure for runway 01 left and the NILUG to Mike approach, or arrival rather.
Hello.
Right, so we can activate now, execute. Let's see if we can be faster than the boarding. It's not a big plane, so there's not a whole lot of passengers. So before we go to performance initialization, let's go to the legs page. So we have all our legs in here, but not quite everything that we need. So departure will be runway 11. So we'll see OLILA 6 departure. No transition, execute, back to Windex. Then Arlanda will have runway 01 left with the NILUG to Mike. So ILS 01 left, NILUG to Mike, no transition, execute. And that's our route. Checking for discontinuities, there is one, and we'll look at that later. We can fix that. So back to the INFF page now. Route we can skip, we finished that. So the zero fuel weight, we can just fetch from here. We'll have 6.9 on the block fuel. Then we'll have reserves, I forgot what the reserves were. 2.8. Then I believe it was cost index 2.3 and then cruising altitude 370. And then we had the winds 221 and 033. Transition altitude 6,500. Well, let's see if that makes sense. Probably does, but it's always good to check. Transition altitude 6,500. So our departure from runway 11. OLILA 6 Alpha only, so Whiskey Alpha 602, 607, and then the left turn to heading 333, to Tollbox, to T6, to Inson and to OLILA. So 370, 221 at 33, Cosnex 23, so let's quickly check. That's all okay, 23, 370, 221, 033. So that looks really okay, so we can execute that. So N1 limits, something we may not be able to do quite just yet, because the aircraft is still boarding. With 46 out of 120 passengers. But there's some other things we can do in the meantime. The IRS are still aligning. We can set our cruising altitude. Cruising altitude for today's flight will be flight level 370, so 37,000 feet. Let's get the runway heading for runway 11, that is 108. Just in case we need it. And the speed in the window we can put 250 knots.
Boarding pass, please.
And here it should 0, so it should mean that the IRS are about to be in alignment. Let's maybe go to the INFF page. Runway to nudge the position system. No, it's just taking its time. There you go. And there it is. It's found its position.
Hello.
So we could do a few other things in the meantime. Let's set the QNH, or set the altimeters at our departure, Warsaw 1010. So 1010 is set. Now we'll look at the arrival. So we'll be flying towards tab viewer, and then there is a discontinuity. So what does that mean? Let's first get the final approach chart for Stockholm, Arlanda, and then we'll have the approach charts. We'll have runway 01 left. We have the ILS. So if you first look at our arrival chart, there is tab VOR, tabby, and then NILUG. So we're coming from NILUG, SA 630. Then there's the tabby VOR. Then there's the Arkady holding point, I guess. Not really sure what this is supposed to be. Let's see. So we'll be taken towards the tabby VOR. So for runway 34, that would, I must think, 34, 01. The 01, that's 01 left, should be that one there. So we're coming from the VOR, so probably it will be vector to the left and then to the right again. So let's have a look at the final approach chart. Let's see if we can find where tabby is on that. So tabby is not showing here. And there's no waypoints really before, so we'll probably have to vector ourselves to the left.
This way, please.
And we could maybe try something we did earlier in the MD-11 to see if we can make a waypoint based on one of the other waypoints, and you set out the radio in a certain direction at a certain distance. That could maybe help, and otherwise we'll just vector ourselves anyway. But it doesn't look like there's any waypoints that we can add, so we'll just use it like this. That should be okay. So that means from now we'll just leave this in, the route discontinuity, but for the rest everything looks to be okay. So we can just leave that. This is perfectly fine to work with. So that bit has been set up. And let's start up the APU. Boarding is almost finished. When boarding is finished, we can, oh look at that, that looks so pretty. You can see our passengers walking through the jetway in the shadows. It's a nice little cinematic moment. Anyway. So yeah, let's start up the APU. Your damper can come on. And APU will be started. We have fuel on board, 6.8. So we can turn on the seatbelt signs, arm the emergency exit lights. For cruising altitude will be 370. So we'll set that here for the pressurization system. Our current altitude here is 360 feet above sea level. So just put in 350 just in case we need to return to the airport. But we will set this for the landing elevation before we descend. Then we have the hydraulics pumps, and then we have the probe heats and the window heats. And that basically sets it all up. We're now waiting for the exhaust gas temperature of the APU to drop to 400 degrees. And we wait for the passengers to finish. It's like 8 more passengers to go. So that's the APU. So let's turn on the APU bleed. Then we'll switch over to APU generator. So that means we can disconnect the ground power. So first we shut it off up here before we ask them to disconnect. We go ground operations, release ground power. Okay, so for the final setup, the N1 limit, the aircraft wants to know how fast we want to take off and all that stuff. So we go to our performance tool, imports from OFP, our departure runway 11. The runway condition will be dry, imports from aircraft, import weather, let's put it in hectopascal. And then we calculate, let's import it one more time for that final passenger. calculate, and this gives us a takeoff derating at a selected temperature of 48 degrees, which should result in a trim of 6.36 and a V1 speed of 129, rotate 130, V2 134, and a N1 percentage of 87, but usually that doesn't really work out, and there's flaps 1. So takeoff at 48 degrees. So takeoff is already selected, and then we got 48 degrees, you can put it there. This is giving us 87.7, not quite what we saw on the calculator. We will do a flap 1 degree takeoff, center of gravity and trim will be 6.37, and we got the V speeds 129, 130 and 134. Now the runway length remaining, we can choose 9-1, that's sitting right there, so 9-1. We got 129, 130, 134, that actually does seem to make sense. So that basically concludes the setup, so let's get the pushback request. And then we're waiting for us to close some doors and whatnot, so let's just go ground operations, door management, close all, and then ground connections and remove chocks.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
And we need to set the parking brake immediately. Look at that with an exclamation mark. A nice flare for the dramatic there. Let's set our trim 6.37. I mean, this thing is analog, so it just set it like 6.3.
Departure
6
check
in the third.
completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Cool, we're all very impressed. Thank you very much. Alright. 250, runway heading 108, but we'll be using VNAV and LNAV. Both are armed. Okay, I think that's pretty much it now. So now we just wait for them to hook us up. And let's not forget to see how do we taxi from where we are. So we're here at 15L. We need runway 11. So I guess we push back. Let's see how do we get there. Probably push back nose to the left. And we just follow on, I think this is Alpha 3. We just follow that. And then we'll go right on Alpha 0 there. We cross runway 15 and then we line up at runway 11. So push back nose to the left. Nose left, tail right. Did it take?
Release parking brakes, please.
Alright, let's do that. Parking brake release.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
You got it. So we'll start up engine number 2 first. 3 and 2 is coming alive. Then at around 10% we can add the fuel. So the golden hour is upon us. You can see the setting sun there in the background here at Warsaw Airport, Poland. Okay, that's engine number 2. Let's now go engine number 1. UGT is dropping for engine number 2, so that's stable now. And then we got about 10 and 2, so there is our slurpy on the fuel. I'm thinking with the hydraulics we have now, we can probably just set our flaps. We can set the speed brake to reject the takeoff. We already trimmed 6.63. Verified takeoff speeds. Mandatory, so 129 is V1. Rotate at 130. Our V2 speed is 134. Let's turn on traffic on the navigation display.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Right, well, we have good engine start, so we can confirm right away. It was a quick pushback. I like it. Confirm.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
My apologies. So we have two running engines.
Unlocking gear.
So we start the main generators, and then we can turn off the APU. So we run out totally on the internal power. Engine start switch is set to both, and the engine 1 and 2 are off. We can turn off the APU, please. Let's turn on the packs just for taxiing.
Left is clear, right is clear.
So maybe this is almost like a record time of setting everything up and getting ready for the pushback and the taxiing. But here we are. So I suggest we get out of here towards the right and then go left. So let's have one more look here at the map. That would look most logical. Okay, so up to Alpha 3. Let's see the bypass pin. Oh, she already waved twice. Sorry, Esmeralda. Okay. So if there's no further questions, then I think we should just get going. So runway turn off lights, taxi lights are turned on. Let's turn on the no smoking sign. Parking brake released. And let's get out of here. Alpha 3, so we'll take a right here. Look at the bus parade to our right, man. So this will take us all the way to the end there, and we'll cross the runway 15. Thanks to the Aerosoft Simple Traffic tool, we see nicely generated deliveries like Lufthansa. We saw some lot airlines from Poland, and there's some Wizz Air and EasyJet, as opposed to the generic Microsoft multicolored, generic liveries. So this gives it a little bit more spice, a little bit more realism. Another Lufthansa there. So we cross runway 15 at the very end, and then basically there's just one route that we can take. That will take us straight to the runway. Actually, it takes us, that's an interesting one. If we take a left here, do that. So change of plans, we'll, because the other, we do not need the entire runway, but still, it looks more procedural, I guess. So I'm thinking, let's just do it, what would appear to be the proper way, so that we can make use of the entire runway. I'll show you in a second what I was talking about, in case things are going a little bit fast. So we are now actually taking a left turn here to cross runway 15, cross the runway 11, and then take a right turn to get to the starting point. Otherwise, we could also go like this, but it would get us here on a bit of an awkward position. I figured let's just do it like this. So it's departing traffic on our runway there. So ground speed 11, let's just step up a little bit. Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff. So it looks clear on the approach side. So let's consider ourselves cleared to cross runway 11. But no, we would have ended up at the other point, never mind. So ground speed now 20, so I'm braking a little bit. Looks like there's no traffic incoming. So let's consider ourselves cleared. So let's turn on the landing lights. Position strobe and steady. And we turn on the TCAS. Where is it? So here's runway 11. So the approach side looks clear. Hello, runway 11. Here we are. At long last. Alright, let's get lined up a little more properly. I think we're configured, so let's start the timer. And we set 50% N1. And we set our takeoff thrust. And let's get out of here. Let's go to Stockholm.
Airspeed's alive. Knots.
So rotate is 130 knots.
Rotate.
There we go, rotate. Gear up.
Positive green climb.
Here's our left turn, so let's take that. Let's turn on the autopilot. CMD on, N1 LNAV VNAV speed. We're reaching our flaps up speed. We can lock the gear. I forgot to turn off the packs for takeoff. That's not the end of the world. We can turn off the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights. Flaps up. And that would be our after takeoff checklist complete basically. So engine bleeds to on, packs to auto. So the packs are still on auto. The engine bleeds are on, and then we have landing gear up and off and flaps up, no lights. So there's no lights on the flaps, and they're up, the lever is in the up position, and the gear is up and locked. And let's also turn off the auto brake. So that's after takeoff checklist complete. Let's have a look out the window. And see what Warsaw looks like today from above. I'm really liking these golden hour experiences. Right, let's get ourselves back onto the flight deck, see what's going on up here. We're passing the transition altitude, so we can go standard pressure. P250 knots, 7,800 feet. So on our way to Dopox in 2.5 miles. We should be there at or above 6,000 feet. Speed 260 knots or below. Well, we're keeping 250 knots, which is good because we're below 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet coming up, the nose will drop. We're now at a 10-degree upward pitch. So usually around 10,000 feet, the nose will drop, as you can see. Go to about 5 degrees or something. Look at that. Okay, so let's just wait until we finish this turn, and then we'll turn off the seatbelt sign. We can turn off the landing lights now. time to check back in here on the flight deck. 13,000, so we can now go faster, and we are. So to flight level 370, that's 78 nautical miles, 1759 Zulu. That's in about 11 minutes. And then where is our top of descent? 358 nautical miles, 1835 Zulu. It's in about 40 minutes or so. So it's not going to be a very long flight at all. Nice dramatic colors, totally love it, man. So on our way from Inson to maybe, no, to OLILA, and 26 miles. Our top of climb is right there at Sommer. Beautiful, chubby little aircraft. Alright, so what's going on inside? We're flying straight for the sun. So hope everybody brought some sun protection. So we're now 8 minutes into the flight. We're at 20,000 feet. Something, let's see, do we have a secondary here as well, like in the Airbus? I think for that you go to route, and you have alternate destination, active route. Yeah, it's slightly different from what we were doing earlier. So winds are being requested. Not sure if these are the descent winds. So we'll see something happen for sure in a bit. Cruise wind uplink. Oh, look at that. So that's on the route data. So how the hell do we do that? Route data load. Cruise wind uplink loading, and we can execute those numbers. That's pretty sweet. So if we go to our descent page, we can also get a forecast for the descent winds. This is something I do sometimes, but never realized that you can also get cruise winds. Quite nice. 20118. So 25,000 feet, 26,000 feet. We've got 11,000 feet to go. Then we'll be at our cruising. That's 49 miles. And then we can start setting, putting in some information for our arrival. So we already saw that we have the ILS 11 the ILS 01, excuse me, the ILS localizer at Stockholm, Sweden, runway 01 left. So we'll need the ILS frequency, that will be 109.9. 109.9. And that goes in there. Final approach course 004 degrees. We'll put that in the course box on the pilot flank and the pilot monofig. 004. The glide slope will start at 1370 feet. The localizer identified as Sierra Alpha at 4 nautical miles from Sierra Alpha is where the glide slope will start, and you can see this on the chart. You go down here to this section, 3.6, 1.7. This is saying, well, actually it will start a little bit earlier. Yeah, 4 is a little bit short, right? So 7.6. What's our decision altitude? This is 2,500 feet. Decision altitude, we can put in 50 for the radio altitude, just peanuts. Transition altitude 5,000, and the runway elevation is 99. So the runway is 100 feet above sea level. That's something we could do now. So we have the landing elevation set already. And the decision altitude was 50 feet radio altitude. And that's already at 50. So that's also set. We have runway, we have the final approach course 004 and 109.9. So that's all there. We're now 31,000 feet. Let's have an eye on the weather. This one. So arrival, it was issued 1720. That's still current. So QNH was 015, and then wind 050 at 6 knots. So our runway 01, so we'll have a bit of a crosswind. So runway 01 left, and the wind coming from 50 around this, I guess. So it's nothing too bad. And it's not a very heavy wind, I believe, 6 knots. That's fine. So we can keep an eye on the weather. Let's see if that develops. That's looking pretty. The human inborn capacity to find things aesthetically pleasing or displeasing does make no distinction between what the source is. It either looks pretty or it does not. So it doesn't matter if the sunset here is totally an algorithm based on zeros and ones. It just looks fucking pretty. And that's how simple it works. And I love that. That's a cool concept. But we're probably not here to philosophize. Right, so I think we're reaching cruising altitude. 35.4. We're now 15 minutes into the flight, so that's going smooth. Fuel 5.4. The engines are engineering. And they're looking quite happy. The N1 is a little bit high, but we're still in climbing mode, so it's a fuel flow 1.5 on both sides for both engines. cruising altitude coming up. And we should see our N1 change as well. It's now at climb mode, and it will then change to cruise mode. And can we see that maybe on the cruise page? So target speed for cruising will be 0.777 Mach. That's basically what we're at now. But since we're, yeah, we'll see how that's gonna work out. Well, I'm loving these sunsets, man. They've done such a cool job. It's just like when you look at Red Dead Redemption. That's beautifully done too. It's a beautiful combination of nice visuals with the in the right places. They have the right amount of what you need, you know. And the same goes for the audio. You know, it sounds like immersive. There's nature sounds and they're convincing. They do not sound like a loop, you know. Things like that, you know, people can be sensitive to that, and well, that's being marketed for sure. Right, on our way to GRUDA, 26.5 miles. We're now at cruising altitude. Engines are at cruising mode, and you see the N1 is immediately dropped. It was at 92 or something, it's now at 81. Fuel flow is therefore also going down as well. It's from 1.5 to 0.9 to 1 basically. So basically it's as if we were flying with 3 engines and now flying with 2. So a little bit more efficient. Fuel-wise, energy-wise, and all that miserable crap, you know what I mean. We're at 37,000 feet. So the next event basically will be the top of descent, 1836 Zulu. That's in 36 minutes exactly. So 1800, let's see, when was the weather updated here? That's 1720. So I'm guessing 1750 could have been an update. But unfortunately that is not the case. So it looks like probably 1 hourly update, or you wait like a couple of minutes. But I'm expecting that's not it. But we'll keep on monitoring the weather in any case. We do have a runway selected now, runway 01 left. We have set up basically almost everything here. We could check the init ref speed, or the init ref page for our approach ref. So if we choose flaps 40 at our current weight, we would have a approach speed of 128 knots. We can just select it for now. We can change. We'll have to look at it later anyway. So this adds 5 knots for the wind, giving us 133 knots. And always check on the legs page if that is also in there, and it always is. But it's good to check 133. So we do have that route discontinuity here. So after the Tele VOR, we should basically take a left turn. I'm not sure if we can do what we did in the Airbus, so or basically it was actually the MD-11, but it has a sort of Airbus style NCDO. So TEB. Let's just go out on a limb here. So the heading, let's say 090, so the opposite of 270, so it should go to the left. Yeah, maybe that should actually be 270 still, but let's see, we'll see. Sometimes you need to reverse if you want to have like a extended center line, for instance. So the EB270, and let's say, I don't know, 15 miles. I'm not really sure if this is actually the correct format. It's saying invalid entry. Yeah, we could try without slash maybe. The EB270, and then slash 15. And that looks like it wants to do something. So let's go to the plan page and see what it is suggesting now. So there's the TEB VOR. Let's zoom out and you'll see what I'm talking about. So basically after the TEB VOR there's nothing. We get vectors to get somewhere to the left. We'll do this in a bit again. This is overshooting. Here's actually our runway. So if we can work out how far this is, we can work out what the distance is. We now chose, I believe, 50 nautical miles. So let's erase that. So we did TEV. Before we do anything else, let's actually copy the runway 01 left, and then we go to our fixed page. First we create a extended runway center line. That's going to help us out greatly. So we have 004, so the reciprocal would be 184. So in this case you want the reciprocal, but you want the line to come to you and not to move to 004 along with the aircraft, but towards the aircraft, which is coming from 184. And that's why we put in 184. Then the forward slash for the distance. And the first distance that I want is where the glide slope will the intercept altitude, or the intercept point. So 7.6. So 7.6 nautical miles. If we add this, we get the extended runway center line, which is going to help us because we're coming from Tabby. But looking at this, this doesn't make any sense at all. I'm not going to fly just to the left, so we might need a different plan. But this is also like helping now immediately, you can see, because we know we do not want to enter this circle before we're pretty much sort of stabilized. So if we were to take a left turn here, we would go like this, get into the circle towards this point. You know, that's just going to be horrible. So that's not going to happen. Secondly, I want a 15-mile range link as well, so 184, just for a little working around area, if you will. So anything, basically we're pretty much done once as long as we're outside that area. So 1.5, so we have 2 rings. So Tabby, I'm not really sure why is that on the flight plan like that. Let's have another look at the arrival chart. So this is actually taking you to Tabby. I'm guessing we could just do something else. For instance, have one of the other waypoints and extend that out towards us, the same way we did with the Tabby VOR. And then hook those two up. And then we'll clear ourselves direct from Sierra Alpha 630. Basically what we could do at this point, we could also just set the, there's a couple of things we can do. We could set the heading to heading of 270. And then we just go fly heading for a little bit. Heading mode or heading hold. So that's one option, so let's just create some. So 270, this would mean by the time we get to Sierra Alpha 630, we'll then switch to heading mode, causing the aircraft to go to 270, and then we can see on the, basically you can see this here. Let's zoom out one step. It's going to make a little bit more sense. So there's Sierra Alpha 630. You can see we're still outside that 50-mile range link, okay? So we could take a left turn here, basically. Just not sure what ATC would do. There's also people living below there, so maybe, you know, in reality you're not just going to sit there and work it out for yourself. You just get vectors. And when you get vectors, they should be nice vectors. And I have no clue, I do not know the area, so I'm not going to be vectoring. We're just going to make do. And it's still a very interesting way to expose yourself to the systems and to get acquainted with them and to make the most use of them, because they're powerful tools. So Sierra Alpha 630, one thing we could do, as I said, then turn left 270, and then we can see visually, basically get some sort of cue when we will turn on the localizer. But if we're not intercepted yet, we should then switch back from heading to LNAV, and that should basically carry on, as long as it doesn't go to the Tabby VOR. And speaking of which, maybe we should just delete that whole thing. Let's just, can we do delete, Tabby, execute. So Tabby is out. So after Sierra 630, there will be Sierra 801. And I'm guessing that is here. brain not processing, brain not processing. So let's look it up then. We're now selected for ARMOD, so step Sierra 630 and then Sierra Alpha 801. That's getting a little bit hard to see. Yeah, that one. Okay, so that would be fine. So we could maybe try Sierra 801. We added there. So how did we do it? The heading there should be 184. And then we said how far back do we want it to go. Let's say 20 miles to see if this works. If this works the same as we did with the Itinerary. It's just a shame that it's now getting off the screen, so that's not making it a lot easier, I must say. So, you know what, for now I'll just execute it, so it's actually sitting there. And then use the step button. But I think we can already see, look at that, it's going to work out. So after Sierra Alpha 630, we'll take a left turn to basically a waypoint that we based on the next waypoint in the sequence. So the next waypoint in the sequence was, let's actually still calling it Sierra Alpha 801. I do not understand that. Let's copy these two together. But anyway, it doesn't matter. This will work just fine, and we can always just use heading mode as well. So there's a couple of options. But we want to do these kinds of maneuvers, like personally outside a 50-mile range. What the hell is going on there, man? Well, that's happening. Alright, so we've set that bit up as well. Come back to our map view, Broderick. So up next will be Wapels, 22.5 nautical miles. So the top of descent would be at 36, so it's in about 20 minutes or so, something 25. Top of descent, 191 miles. So there to the right, it's almost like a spaceship that exploded upon the entry of the planet's atmosphere, and then it breaks up, or like a stone, you know, it will break up in a couple of segments. Only they would not be next to each other. They'd be a little file, if you will. Yeah, that's looking pretty, man, for sure. Let me actually start up the Sky Dolly. Sky Dolly is the program I've been using lately to record the flights, or at least the landings and the descent, and then finally the landing. It's like a replay tool. It's a very nice tool because it will not record video, it will actually just record data input. So let's say you put your gear down, that's a data request, and it's recording all those requests and then replaying them all back once you hit the replay, causing the gear to go down. At the moment, the gear down request is being played back. In a sense, that's technically what's working behind the scenes. So basically, what it is doing for you is you land or whatever, you just run, you stop recording, you press play, and the aircraft will just warp back to the position where it started recording in the state that it was with everything that was being requested. And this allows you to look at your landings, to enjoy looking from the inside, like we're sitting now, see what would it be like to land at this and this airport as a passenger, so that's interesting stuff. One thing, when you start using programs like that, after the flight, if you are like me, I have the highest difficulty settings, so there's no assistance anywhere. But when I use the playback function, you have to turn on safe landings or whatever, so the safest setting, because the forces working on the aircraft will still be working. So if you all of a sudden warp your aircraft back like 1,000 miles or whatever to a totally different altimeter pressure or air pressure and altitude and whatever. Let's say you depart from 5,000 feet somewhere, 5,000 feet like Johannesburg Airport, and you fly to Amsterdam, which is like at sea level, at zero, and then you, let's say you do it the other way around, you go back to, well, I don't know, well, in any case you go back, let's say you're at sea level, yeah, and you go back, so alright, let's go back to the departure, then all of a sudden the aircraft's going to find itself 5,000 feet into the ground below Johannesburg Airport. And obviously it will spawn afterwards correctly, but then it's too late. The flight simulator will have already detected a crash, and it will crash your flight. So that's why you have to turn that off. And but other than that, it's it's a little bit anything is better than and it's a very convenient tool. It's just so weird that Microsoft still has not really like implemented it like they had with FSX. FSX, you could just record your flight. Yeah, I don't see the problem, but $37,000, 0.774, aiming 0.78. Motet and 3.3 miles. So that is Sierra Alpha 630. I believe that is the I think that's the waypoint that we changed, isn't it? So stand by 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. I'm back. Alright. So where were we? We're anticipating landing or descent 1819. Let's see if there's a weather update. At 20 there should be a new one in any case. But you can see a couple of minutes later we did get the 1750 weather report, so it's a 2 weather reports per hour. 050 5 knots, so nothing a lot changed there. It went from 6 to 5, I think. 050, I don't think that changed. There's a little bit variance in the wind direction, 010 to 080. That's fine. 10 degrees visibility, broken clouds real low to the ground, 900 feet, 5 degrees, QNH 1015. And it is now 1820, so we'll get the new weather report in about 10 to 15 minutes or so. So PENOR coming up, 4.2 miles. So here's some countdown thingy here as well for the top of descent. It's counting down the miles. I really like in the MD-11, I really like the countdown in minutes or hours. And I believe you can actually see it basically right after departure, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look at our airport, where we are going to land at. Because I want to know which side do we vacate. In this case it's very simple, you can only vacate to the right. We'll land from this direction, the length 10,830 feet. So we could maybe exit at Yankee 6 or Yankee 8. This looks X-ray. First it looked like a little cross, like bitch don't go there, but I don't think that is the case. And then no clue where they would like us to go, but it doesn't matter too much. So we exit towards the right. And another interesting thing when you have the extended runway center line is that you already basically could have just follow this line. And I just love that idea that this is going on indefinitely. I think if you go to Antarctica along this route, it will still be showing. Well, you know, can't always be guitar, but it can sometimes be piano and guitar. Alright, so that happened. Beautiful colors, man. I will keep on saying it. Right, let's get back to the flight deck. Time is 18:27. Top of descent 18:36, so that's 9 minutes. We do have a tailwind now, 217 at 31. I believe the prediction was 221 at 33, so that's quite close. So 46 minutes into the flight now, top of descent coming up, right there at ARMOD, 152 miles. It's a little bit later, 51.7 is ARMOD, and then 54 miles is our top of descent at 18:36. So 18:29, let's see if we got a early weather update from 18:20. We actually do. Till 050, and now it's even down one more knot. So it went from 6 to 5 and now we're down to 4 knots. So the next weather report should be 18:50. So we might enjoy that. Our estimate time of arrival now 19:02. And the QNH 1015, that has changed. No, I don't think it has. I think it was 1015, but I think we'll put this in a second. 1015, 6 degrees. Let's put it in 1015. Give it a take, yeah, 1015. Speed now down by 1 knot, so 127, giving us 132 on the next page. So 42 miles until the top of descent. So let's get our descent checklist. Pressurization should be set to landing altitude. I think we already did that. Put it at 100. The runway was at 99, so we can check it. Recall, we can check the recall. I don't think there was anything, any events. Recall checked. Auto brake, we'll set the auto brake to 1. So auto brake check. Landing data VRF minimum. We have a landing data 109.9 004. This is a good moment to double check the ILS frequency. 109.9 Sierra Alpha 004. And we got 004 in both course boxes. And then we have the radio altitude 50, that's our decision altitude. We got VRF speed 1, or we got the RF speed 127, final approach speed 132, at flaps 40. think that covers it. Before we descend, let's set 2500. And let's also double check that we got the chart open now. 2500. Okay. So we got our landing gate VRF minimum approach briefing. That's basically been completed as well. So unless on the approach briefing we also take the altimeter, which could be an interesting little segue. But let's get rid of that. So for the altimeters, what I'm talking about is what's the transition altitude, and that was 5,000 feet. So at 5,000 feet we will reset the altimeter to the correct local pressure, which is currently supposed to be 1015, and we pre-dialed it, but we are still on standard in green. And I guess we're then completely ready for our descent. So the go-around procedure, let's have a look at that. Something I always dread. Mid-approach, you climb straight ahead to 600 feet, or 1.7 nautical miles from Sierra Alpha, past Sierra Alpha DMA, whichever is later. Turn left on track 328, climbing to 1500, radar vectoring for a new approach. So mid-approach with lost communications, you climb straight ahead 600, or the 1.7 from SSA. Whichever is later, turn left on track 328, climbing to 2500. Turn left to Arlanda VOR for a new instrument approach. Where's the Arlanda VOR? This one. Not getting it, but I don't want to. Alright. So we have our auto brake set for 7.2 nautical miles, so we'll start descending any moment now. And we do have a little bit of a tailwind, but it's okay. Well, let's just let the aircraft do it. So now we are at ARMOD, and then a couple of miles after ARMOD is the top of descent. That's at 2.5 remaining. So on our way to NILUG now, and then Sierra Alpha 630. So it named both of these waypoints Sierra Alpha 801. That is a little bit confusing in the Airbus and basically the MCDU, if you will, that we were using yesterday in the ND11. It's creating a new waypoint, new name. I'm not really sure what happened here, but I'm good, I guess. I would like to see that again. So let's go to the plan page and zoom in a little bit more. So from our new 801 it is 20 miles until we reach the original 801. We're getting a little bit high on the profile. And now it's not really sure. Now we're a little bit low. So NILUG, Sierra Alpha 630. That will take a left turn to Sierra Alpha 801. That's the new one that we made. So interesting that this is possible. I'm loving it a lot. Look at that. Alright, so descent has started. Let's go to the progress page. Our estimated time of arrival now is 19:02 Zulu. We'll have a descending for a little bit longer, or I'll step off for just a short moment. I'll be right back. Alright, so this is still descending but not landed yet, that's good. So let's see what's going on. A little bit below on the profile, that's fine. P267 on our way to NILUG, 45 miles. So the time is now 18:40. So maybe it's time to strap in our passengers. Let's see, do we have a new weather update? That was 18:40, this was 18:20, so no, not yet. Still 6 degrees, some low clouds. Well, okay, let's strap in our passengers. Oh, we never released them. I'm sorry, passengers, totally forgot about you. Yeah, I should have been on auto. Okay, don't know what happened there. Let's address the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We have started our descent to Arlanda Airport, Stockholm. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. We're expected to arrive in about 21 minutes. The weather's looking favorable for us. There's not a lot of wind. It's 6 degrees, so it's a bit chilly. We got some clouds low to the ground. But we hope you will find warmth with the loved ones that you're going to see there, hopefully. On behalf of Scandinavian Airlines and the entire crew, thank you for flying. Right, so I think I should consider a career in marketing or psychopathy. Let's also turn off the the all the lights, where are they? All the way up here. $24,300. So now we just manage our speed basically. NILUG 265. So we're right on with the vertical deviation as well. You can see here vertical deviation got like 51 feet high. It's not very much, but something to keep an eye on. If the trend is like it's increasing, I mean now it's decreasing again, so that's fine. But we have to monitor because we don't want to lag behind and causing us to have to land with like a very high, relatively high speed, you know. That's not helping your stability and control. And we know how much we like stability and control as humans, right? Just to place some parallels there, you know, planting seeds, you know. And then maybe one day you get lucky and the neighbor's dog will pee on them and they start to grow. And there you have wonderful ideas. So instead of a skyline, would be called as a cloud line then. Looking pretty no matter what it's called. 21,000 feet. So for the approach checklist, 5,000 feet is our transition altitude. And then the engine start switches should be turned to continuous, relight, speed brake should be armed, but we'll do that on final approach. We can set the selectors to continuous relight. And what's our altitude? 20,000. Oh well, there we go. Let's turn on the APU. So we're now 1 hour 2 minutes into the flight. So I'm happy with the new waypoint that we created from there. That's looking really sharp. And something like this, I mean, we do it ourselves, but this could be like an equivalent of, for instance, ATC giving you a vector from your current position, a vector that would basically have you end up right there. And in our case, we have a waypoint. So we're getting a little bit higher there, 45 feet. Our speed is under control. NILUG in 12 miles, 265 knots, and then SA 630 258 knots. With time 1846. The next weather update should be 1850. But we'll always get it. Earlier we got it 9 minutes later, not later we got it, but earlier before that we got it like 11, 12, I'm guessing, minutes later. So we have for now 1015 and 050 degrees at 4 knots. It started at 6 knots. 5 knots, now it's down to 4 knots, but the wind direction has not changed. So that looks pretty stable. We're touching down at 1902, if that is still on the program. Let's see, 1902 is 61 miles with 3.7 thousand kilograms of fuel on board. So we're not burning a whole lot. You can also see our fuel flow is really low now, 0.4, 0.4. It's like 400 kilograms per hour, and 3.7. So we're burning, so this basically tops one, like 30 minutes flying maximum. And it's actually going to be like 15 minutes. So. It's looking mighty fine. Right, so we have started the APU. We have set landing elevation to 100. The runway is at 99. Where's the runway? The runway is 99, airport 138. By then it doesn't matter, we're at ground level. And position altitude 5000, so that's basically our next event. So again, you know, the waypoint that we added there doesn't necessarily represent what you would do in real life, I guess. In reality, the flight plan would actually take us to somewhere around here. There was the VOR. Maybe actually if we turn on VOR, we should be able to see it. I'll have to dial it in. Wait, stations. There you go. Yeah, this one, the heavy VOR. So it's basically taking us from Sierra Alpha 630, where we're going right now, to Tabby VOR, and then how the hell are we going to get to that point, and then quickly do a right turn, you know, it's going to look messy. I'm not sure what the procedure will be in real life, how are they going to vector you around this situation. And maybe it's doable, maybe you can actually do it, it's just a short turn. You could, for instance, say, here on the heading selector, there's also a function, this one. You can set now the maximum bank angle to 30 degrees. And yeah, usually you don't really use that, but you can. For those things I've been trying to get out lately, for these really short turns, but in our case we don't need very short turns, so just leave it at 25. So 11,900 feet. Okay, so we're arriving at Sierra Alpha 630, now turning left for the waypoint that we put in, the extended version of Sierra 801. This is looking funny because it was in here, oh wait, of course, we should be on the leg space, we should have it twice, there you go. Okay, 10,000 feet coming up, so let's get the landing lights. And the backup plan was to use the heading mode from this point on, just to align ourselves with the runway, and that's why this line here is very useful. If we were now in heading mode, we'd be flying to heading 270, where the heading bug is, basically flying straight to that line, and then we just eyeball it and re-engage the VNAV. But we're on VNAV now, drag required. You can see we're getting quite high now all of a sudden, so let's get things going. Let's see, 126, so we lost another knot. So we're now at 126 knots, so that's 131 knots in the FMC for final approach speed. So 7.2 miles, and then we have to be speed 240. And we are now back to where we should supposed to be, so we can retract the speed brakes. Something you do not want to forget. Something I used to forget a lot in simulators, and yeah, that can get really awkward. Like really, really awkward. Right, 8,900. We do not have DME yet, so there's no distance from the ILS. I believe it does have DME. ILS DME. But I think the range is about 25 miles. If you go to our progress page, you can see how far out we are. And we're 30 miles out. Okay, so here's our right turn onto track. Now going to the original Sierra Alpha 801. Still not understanding why it doesn't give it a custom name so that you can always see what is what. I don't know. No DME yet. Let's still arm the localizer. No, does not allow us to arm it just yet. And here we can see 15 miles from the runway, and then the next ring that we'll see will be the glide slope start. So standing by for 5,000 feet, here's our DME, 25.7. Can we arm the localizer now? We can. Okay, we're intercepted. That's nice, very nice. So localizer intercepted. So the time 1854. I don't think we'll have a weather update yet. 1820, this should become 1850. No. So QNH 1015. So once we reach 5,000, we'll switch over to 1015. Our range is now 23.3 nautical miles. We're getting closer, so we will also turn on the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights. Just so that we get as visible as we can. So our speed brake set at 1. We will not arm the speed brakes just yet. We'll wait a little bit longer. We might need them. We're below the glide slope, so that's a good position as well. So standard turning amber now is what's green, showing that we are on standard. We are still on standard, but it's saying, hey man, you remember that transition altitude you told me about at 5,000 feet? Well, what do you think, you know, is knocking? Alright, so let's switch over now. So we dialed in 1015, so from standard we go to local. And you can see it changes a little bit. Fortunately not very much, we're just a little bit high. Nothing wrong. Range 18 miles. On our way 9 more miles to Sierra Alpha 801, speed 150. So we're going to decelerate in a bit, quite a bit I would think. Drag required. I think I agree. So let's bring out the speed brakes. Maybe we should use a little bit of anti-icing for those clouds that we will flying through. Okay, let's try and go flap 1, see what that's going to do for us. So now it's going to speed 180. And in 5 miles, we should have speed reduced to 150. That's quite a lot. let me arm the approach. We're 12 miles out. Our speed is still okay, I guess, at this distance. Drag required, okay. So speed brakes out. Flaps 2, captured by the glide slope now. Our range is 7.5 nautical miles, and we now have the speed available to us in the window. So let's immediately decelerate. We're 7 miles out. Go flaps 5. And to get some more drag, I suggest we drop the landing gear now as well. Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing. Let's keep on decelerating. Flaps 10. Time 18:59. Let's see if there's a weather update real quick. 1850 QNH 1016. So let's immediately change that. Not too big of an impact, and let's do a wind check. 0505 knots, so nothing changed there. So the range is 4 miles. Let's go down to the final approach speed, 132 I believe it was. Let's go flaps full. .31 even. Then we stand by to take over and hand fly the rest of the approach from about from around 1,000 feet. So that everything's stabilized now. I am upping our speed a little bit because we're dropping a little bit there below. We do have some wind, 7 knots at this moment. Alright, 1,000 feet, autopilot disengaged. Let's go down back, 131. So a very clear visual on the runway. Our decision altitude is very low, 50 feet. It's not needed under these visual conditions. So very clear. Trying to aim for the touchdown zone.
100.
A little bit low.
Minimums.
Continue.
30. 20.
Idle.
10.
Flare. Main gear touchdown. Nose gear touchdown. Welcome to Arlanda, everybody. Reverse is out. and then we'll probably take the next high-speed intersection. It's around 60 knots. We can go idle on our engines. Let's do some toe braking, help it out. Engines to idle, flaps up, and speed brake up. And we vacate to the right. So I think this will still be Yankee 6 that we saw on the chart. So welcome to Stockholm, everybody. So where the hell did we go? Oh, we're not doing that. So I think we can just go straight here. So we can turn off the auto brake right direct. Well, this is a little too dark for realism, isn't it? I mean, not even safe. I really have no clue what I'm doing. Well, I do, but I don't see anything. But let's follow the line here to the left. Just let's hope there's no aircraft parked there. It didn't look like it in the dark. Let's get those final feet as well. Okay, so here we are. Wheel brake, parking brake set. We'll stop. What the hell, where are we? Oh, still outside. Oh, that's what I meant. So this is dangerous. Look at that. And then you crash. That's what I mean. So the camera was still at the airport. And so I go to the external camera and that travels to the airport. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to go back to where I am. But now it has to re-render. And then it detects a crash. But we all witnessed a beautiful landing. Unfortunately, there is actually, I think I should be able to review it. Yeah, should. Alright, anyway, that's for me. Thank you very much for checking, everybody. And everybody stay cool, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.